Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And Tapestry.
Well, Tapestry is a board game and we like it.
Today we're going to talk about a second expansion of Tapestry, which is Arts and Architecture.
Exactly. This one is, of course, published by Stonemaier Games. It's designed by Jamey, Stegmaier, and Mike Young.
Now, the original Tapestry game is essentially a civilization game. Most civilization games typically go quite long, so this is more of a condensed form where you're allocating resources to various tracks, including science, technology, exploration, and military, to progress on them, take various actions, and build your civilization using various Tapestry cards as well.
Exactly. It's almost as if they've fast-tracked this civilization game by making the moves that you make relatively simple, but when it comes down to it, there is still a lot of meat in this game that makes for fun strategizing.
And a great story as well. With the various tapestries that you play, what will your civilization look like?
And of course, you probably already know this because you're here for Tapestry, Arts and Architecture.
And guess what? There's a new track, the Arts.
Yes, so if you haven't already seen it before, you can check out our What's in the Box video and we'll link it down below, but it basically highlights everything that you'll be getting with the new expansion. There are a few key things that really add some more flavor to the game that we were going to talk about today.
Exactly. And if you're new here, of course, hit that subscribe button, follow along for more videos like this one. Well, let's dive in, shall we?
Yes, let's do it.
So first off, we'll start with the new civilization mats.
Woo-hoo.
So there's 5 to add to this game. There is the Collectors, the Gamblers, Urban Planners, Relentless, and Renegades. So let's give you a fast overview of each of these. The Collectors, essentially what you're going to do is when taking various items such as a landmark, a tapestry card, a tile, a technology, and all sorts of stuff, you instead put it on this mat and collect it. And then for the various things you've collected over the game, you'll get victory points at the end. The Gamblers, of course, will gamble their way through their civilization. Essentially what they'll do is at the beginning of most of their income turns, they'll draw 3 tapestry cards and be able to play one of the ones that says when played, as well as another tapestry card. So maybe they'll get lucky, maybe they'll get some various points, or some skills and abilities or resources.
Or nothing at all.
Yes, because if you don't draw one played, you'll get to take a tapestry card in your hand instead. Now the Urban Planners are able to start with an additional landmark card, and for the amount of landmark cards that are touching in their capital city, they'll get points at the end of the game, because they like to plan stuff, so it works.
I think that's actually a good segue quickly into the fact that there are a bunch of different new landmarks that come with the game, and I believe they're all associated to the games previously published by Stonemaier. So you'll see this cool little like clock tower that's representative of pendulum.
You're supposed to let them guess what each one represents.
This fancy little windmill that I'll let you guess which it could be at. It's
little pumpkin house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the 3 of them are associated with the arts track, and then 5 come with new landmark cards as well that you can play with.
Yes, exactly. And then the Urban Planners, of course, will get potentially one of these, an extra one of these to build.
Maybe even 2.
Yeah.
And now the Relentless.
Ooh, Relentless. So basically with the Relentless, what you're going to do is you're going to want to try and build buildings on your turn. If you do build a building, you'll take one of your square tokens, place it onto the civilization, and then leave it there until your next turn. If at any point you don't build a building, and it's smart to almost strategize when you want to choose to do this, you take all of those cubes off of your civilization track and you'll gain the bonus equivalent to how many tokens you took off.
How fun.
Yeah.
And last but not least, there is the Renegades. So the Renegades is essentially another track. When you move in one of the phases, you can instead choose to move on here. So not gain the benefit of the main board, instead gain the benefit here. But it's important to note that there's phases that you have to go through. So in the first section, second, third, and fourth. And then you'll get some more bonuses.
Hey.
So what do you think about the new civilization mats?
I like them. I think they're again, like they just add more to the game itself, base game. But there are so many civilizations that it feels like you can play so many different ways. And I like when particular civilizations help guide your strategy. I think that's a lot of fun.
Particular theme. It's pretty cool when things kind of line up with the tapestry cards too and build a little story. I really like the collectors. I think it makes it fun to realize when you want certain things and when it's like, oh, I don't really need one of these tech cards, but I can move and put it here instead and get that token. So
yeah, I'll say that I really like the names and then what's associated with them. I feel like they do a very good job in these civilizations and the other civilizations to really make that connection.
So now let's talk about the new advanced capital city maps.
Wow, advanced maps. So these are your capital cities. It comes with 6 new ones: the Mesa, the Swamp, the Cloud City, the Archipelago, and the Canyon and Cavern. So all of these basically will replace any of the capital cities that you have on your board. You just pick one of these if you want an advanced variant. And essentially what they do is they add a little twist to how you're going to be placing your landmarks and your income buildings. This one, for example, the Cavern, you have to basically build from top down. And if you don't complete a row, you can't, or if you don't complete a district, which is one of the squares up here, you can't build below it. So it adds a little bit more difficulty, and then you won't score points for the columns you make. Instead, you'll score 2 points for each of the rows you're able to make. And then another one is the Canyon. This one conveniently has a canyon right down the middle, hence its name. And it has these little cacti on it, which will act as empty spaces, essentially, unless you build perfectly around it, and then it will count as an impassable object. So it will count towards finishing that district.
You almost have to lift the cactus to the top.
Yes, exactly. And then this one is just fancy little shapes called the Archipelago.
Islands.
Yep, it has a volcano right in the middle, and you're just like building around your islands. Yeah, that one's pretty straightforward. The Cloud City is again kind of like the Archipelago, where there's different shapes that you need to fill for your districts, but at the beginning of your income turn, you can move 2 income buildings individually from an incomplete district to a different district.
How convenient.
So maybe you placed a little bit wonky the first time, or maybe you're planning ahead to move certain buildings or certain income buildings to certain places. This is a really good map to utilize that with. The second last one we have here is the Swamp, and like the Canyon, it has lily pads. But the lily pads, they count as completed plots, but you can build over them. The catch is, though, at the start of your final income turn, you'll lose 2 victory points per visible lily pad.
Hide those lily pads.
So essentially what you get from this is like it's almost like a catch-up, because you'll be able to get resources faster by completing your districts, since that lily pad counts towards your goal. But then you'll have to figure out a way to
cover them
up.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then last but not least, this is the Mesa. Now, in this map, most of the times you can build over or build outside of your map, and this one simply just restricts you from being able to do that. So you have to build
Tricky
within the confines. And that is it for the new districts. What do you think?
That one, the last one, would actually be quite compatible with the urban planners because it's such an open space. You can probably line those 7 buildings up quite well.
Yes, I will say with this one, it's nice that all of the stuff is on all of the impassable bounds are on the outside of the map.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think what I really enjoy about a lot of these maps is it actually makes it much more difficult on the brain to figure out if you have rows and columns. I know I played...
As if it wasn't difficult already.
So, I don't know, I thought it wasn't too bad, but I played, for example, the Archipelago, and because they're varying shapes, it just threw me off. I'm like, do I have this? Do I not? And I had to like meticulously check each line, and I like that aspect because it kind of pushes you. You're used to getting in a certain way, and your brain is just wired to do that. But now it's just like second guessing and making sure you do kind of go through it really thoroughly.
Yeah, I played the cloud map. I think that one was my favorite so far. It's nice to be able to rearrange certain things, and particularly like if you have buildings that you're just hoping that will eventually add up for you, or maybe it makes a row for you in your first income turn, then you'll score the points and you can move it to potentially even just gain a resource later on. So it's kind of nice to be able to have that leeway, but it does make it. I didn't find it super impactful to a sense where I wasn't worried that I'd have to use that ability every single turn.
Yeah, and you kind of touch base on swamp, I think, with
the
lily
lily
pads.
pads.
It does a really great catch-up mechanic because then you can get more resources and then try to cover it up later. But lots of new ways to explore your capital cities in this one for sure.
Yeah. And if you're looking to spice up the game a bit more, it's a great way to do it.
Last but certainly not least is the arts track.
Yay, arts track!
I actually wondered when we first got the game if there's ever going to be an expansion that adds another track and what it would be. And now we have the answer. There is another track, it's purple, and it adds arts.
Yes, exactly. It's essentially just exactly that. It's another track that gives you additional bonuses, and they've added some neat little features to it.
Some masterpiece cards. Very fun.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Let's talk about masterpiece cards.
Oh, but I was going to talk about something else first.
Oh, okay.
Well, the quick thing I wanted to mention is with a new track come 3 new landmarks, which we mentioned earlier. Yep. And you can see them, and you got to erase them and get to them. But the main component is these beautiful masterpiece cards.
Yes.
So it's going to be a few spots that you can obtain these in the arts track. And what they do is they give you additional bonuses every one of your income turns, as well as some of the action phases here as well.
Yes.
Which makes it quite exciting and lets you build an empire that is quite great.
And don't worry too, because when you do move down this track, you'll be able to unlock those 4 types of buildings that your income buildings. You'll be able to unlock through using resources or just simply landing on that space. It doesn't feel like there's much of a trade-off to go to one versus the other. You'll still benefit quite a lot from going to the arts.
Yeah, I like the arts track for that actually specific reason, is because if you really aren't keen on doing the technology thing in this game and you're just kind of lacking behind, but you really want to get that associated income building, then you could go down the arts track and just collect those buildings that you're missing if you're trying to collect various amounts or if there's any benefit to getting some of those, which is definitely really neat.
Yep.
It also allows you to move on some of the various other tracks and take the benefit just like the science track. And at the end, this is the very exciting finish, is you can take the action of 3 masterpiece cards, but not only your own, you can take yours and
your
neighbors as well. So that's very exciting because you can see what everyone's planning, and when you hit that end, not only can you get that bonus for reaching the end, but you can also
potentially score a bunch of points, get a bunch of different resources. There's a lot going on with the masterpiece cards, and it's exciting to see the different ways you can manipulate them.
And last but certainly not least, I really like what they did with the resources, because typically each other track is associated with a resource. Here, essentially, the first phase is you can go any resource. The second is you have to use 2 different resources, which definitely caught me off guard sometimes, because I'm like, oh, I have these 2 big stars. I can definitely use them, but you can't. Yeah. So you have to be wary and make sure you have 2 different ones. Last one's just 3 any, and the third one is 3 any, and the last one is 2 of the same one. So that's where you gotta save up and make sure you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's very similar to the other tracks. It's just uses the wild instead of the associated resource.
It's certainly very clever.
The last thing that we will mention, I guess 2 last things we will mention. It obviously, this expansion, because it has a new track, it needs a new die for when you do roll the science die. The arts track is now associated to that. And then you'll notice on the track that there are these light bulb icons. And what's really cool about those light bulb icons is everybody will receive 4 different what do you call these? Column tiles?
I forgot the name.
Well, they're for your income.
Yes.
They're for your income. And basically what they do is they essentially upgrade your current income income row that is associated with this resource. So when you do go to do your income turns, you'll get more benefits from it. So for example, I think in the majority of them, you end up getting more
points.
points. So it is worth to maybe even just get the one that you're really far up on, because scoring additional points and having those crossovers, because it's not like red will score you more points for territories controlled is what it usually does. But this one, for example, has the exploration buildings on it. Oh no, science buildings. The number of science buildings you have.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, and so we forgot the names though, so we'll put the name right here. So you can name reveal.
Oh, name reveal.
Ah, memory.
And that is really...
Yeah, there's a few new
included.
Tapestry cards, there's a few new technology cards, lots of... I feel like there's a lot more content in this expansion than the first one.
I'm trying to think back to the first one, and the first one was like more of a balancing
more space
thing,
styles.
right?
Yeah, there's more civilizations, more,
Yeah.
So I think this one actually added some new elements that really make the game quite interesting.
Yeah, I will say that I really enjoy the arts track. I also really enjoy some of the tech cards that they introduced, because I am the type of person that
loves the tech
goes
track.
to the tech track. And I really appreciate new tech cards that can also lead me down the arts track, or even just have me build something on the tech card, or maybe play Tapestry cards that have buildings on them now. Who knows?
Yeah, I really enjoy some of the new Tapestry cards as well, which make the story a little bit more exciting, introduce some new twists and some spins that you can really spice up the game. But essentially, this game is always different, which is the thing I really love about it. Is with the civilization you have, the tapestries you have, the capital city, you can make your own narrative and be as thematic as you want it to be, or you can just dive in and be really engaged in that puzzle, trying to resource manage, make the best of it. So yeah, and I really like the theme side of it. So there's a really good balance to it, but you can make it what you want it, and that's why I think this game is so great.
Yeah, I'm happy that there's another expansion. I'm really excited that they introduced a new track. I think that's really clever. And from what we've heard, we haven't been able to play it at 5 players, but with the 5th track, it really helps with a larger game.
Yeah,
from what I understand. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for Stonemaier Games for providing us a review copy of this. The pre-sale, I think, goes live actually tomorrow, December 1st. So check it out. We'll link that down below. And thank you so much for watching our Tapestry coverage.
Yeah, and of course, if you've played Tapestry before, please let us know what you think about the game. Let us know if you're excited about the new arts track. If you have any questions, maybe we can help answer them for you, clear them up before you make your decision on whether or not you're gonna look at getting this game or this expansion. And yeah, that's it for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye.